Pursuant to Tennessee Code Annotated, Section 844-112, time is set aside at the beginning of every meeting for public comment. There is nobody signed up for public comment here today. I do have a proposed consent agenda for us for resolutions here before us. I'm just including everything on the consent agenda, items 1 through 9. I'll give everybody a second to review if there's anything that anybody wishes to remove from consent. Oh wait, I messed up. I should have started with, I do detect a quorum with myself, Vice Chair Cash, Councilmember Struffel, Chair Evans, Councilmember Rutherford, Pro Tem Sepulveda, Councilmember Weiner being present. With that correction, is there anything anybody wishes to remove from consent? Seeing none, I'll go ahead and read everything into the record. Item number 1, RS 2025-1177, a resolution approving the election of certain notaries public for Davidson County, sponsored Prep T. RS 2025-1210, a resolution opposing algorithmic rental price fixing in Nashville and Davidson County and supporting investigations and lawsuits to that end, sponsors Harold, Benedict, and Bradford. RS 2025-1211, resolution requesting the Metropolitan Police Department or the Davidson County District Attorney's Office employ a domestic violence dispossession investigator, sponsors Gadd, Evans, Welsh, Benedict, Stiles, Nashville, Evan Siegel, Ewing, Ellis, Vo, and Allen. RS 2025-1212, a resolution honoring the life of Delta Ray Fry, sponsor Huffman. RS 2025-1213, a resolution honoring the life of Pope Francis, sponsors Gamble, Hill, Porterfield, Vo, Stiles, Benedict, Rutherford, and others. RS 2025-1214, a resolution honoring Morgan Price of Fisk University for her second National Collegiate Gymnastics Championship and additional historic achievements, sponsors Allen, Gamble, Welsh, and others. RS 2025-1215, a resolution honoring Adrian Butnick for her volunteer with the Metropolitan Nashville Animal Care and Control, sponsors Evans, Gadd, Hill, Weiner, Coupin, Stiles, Ellis, and Bradford. RS 2025-1216, a resolution recognizing May 2025 as National Foster Care Month in Nashville and Davidson County, and RS 2025-1217, a resolution recognizing April 26, 2025 as Lesbian Day of Visibility in Nashville and Davidson County. The sponsors Benedict, Hill, Gadd, and Bradford. Having read that all into consent, is there anything that anybody wishes to remove from consent? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. We have a motion for approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
I'll beat you.
So those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting for the consent agenda. Next, we move into late filed resolutions. This is a resolution, sponsors Porterfield and Evans. This is a resolution accepting a tobacco use prevention and control service grant from the Tennessee Department of Health to the Metropolitan Government, acting by and through the Metropolitan Board of Health, to improve the health of citizens of Davidson County and prevent and control the use of tobacco. And we do have a letter from the Health Department as to the late filed nature of it. I'll go ahead and read it into the record. It reads, Council members, I would like to ask for you to allow the attached grant to be filed late for the May 6, 2025 council meeting. The time period covered by the grant began on April 1st, 2025, and the grantor has a policy that requires the grant to be returned prior to the start date. The reason for the lateness of the grant is due to a modification of the contracts prior to execution, to update the contract information to the new Metro Public Health Director, and a slight delay in the law department. Thank you for your consideration. So that is the reason for the late filed nature of this resolution. Do we have any discussion on it? Seeing none, do we have a motion to suspend the rules?
Motion to suspend the rules.
Second. So moved and properly seconded. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Okay, next we have bills on second reading. This is, first we have BL 2025-811, an ordinance modifying the structure of various boards and commissions to enhance operations sponsors, Sepulveda and Prep T. Pro Tem Sepulveda, you are recognized on this bill.
Thank you, Chair. I'd like to move the amendment.
That is a proper motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. The amendment is before us. Any discussion on the amendment?
I could let Director Darby
Apologies, what was the question?
The amendment on BL 2025-811.
Give me 1 second to pull that up. The amendment just corrects several small errors in the original legislation. With regard to the Arts Commission, it adds back in the language that members shall serve as staggered terms of 4 years. With regard to Section 19, it adds a section that's related to the transition period for the sexually oriented business and licensing board to transition the membership. And then another housekeeping change in Section 22. In Section 24, it also relates to the transition period for the Sustainability Advisory Committee. As you all received an email last week and then again today that kind of describes all of the different sections of this omnibus legislation. So it's pretty long and it touches many boards and commissions, but these are just some of the amendments that needed to be made to make the bill accurate.
Okay. So we've heard an explanation of the amendment. Any discussion on the amendment? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor of the amendment?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? Okay, the amendment is now on the bill. Any discussion on the bill? Pro Tem?
I mean, these are recommendations that were made to us. You all should have received an email of various boards and commissions with letters of support. I don't know if former Councilmember Rosenberg has something else to add.
What do you think that?
I'd be glad to describe it if you like, otherwise I don't have any.
I think we're good. So do we have a motion?
So moved.
Second.
Moved and properly seconded. Seeing no further discussion, we'll move to vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. And then we also have BL 2025-813, an ordinance readopting the code of readopting the code of the Metropolitan Government of Nashville and Davidson County, Tennessee, prepared by Municipal Code Corporation, including supplemental and replacement pages thereof, containing certain ordinances of a general and permanent nature enacted on or before November 20th, 2024, sponsored Prep T. I'll go ahead and move its approval. Do we have a second?
Second.
Any discussion on this? Just normal housekeeping bill. Okay, seeing no discussion, those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you. Okay, next we have board and commission appointees and nominees. Folks in this category will be submitted for interview today. First, we have the Cheatham County Rail Authority. Consideration of nominating to fill one vacancy on the authority with a term expiring June 1st, 2027, and an election to fill the vacancy will be held at the May 20th, 2025 council meeting. Nomination of Councilmember Joyce Stiles, nominated by Councilmember Jake Coopin. Councilmember Stiles, if you will come before the committee.
Oh, goody.
Raise your right hand and be sworn.
Why are you like this?
Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
I live in Davidson County.
And do you or do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being considered for here today?
I'm the health tourism owner.
What?
So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve on this particular authority.
So I'd like to continue working on this authority as I've been there for the last 4 years. RJ Corman, as well as the Cheatham County Mayor, and there's several other participants. MTA is there, it's also Rigo. I've been able to work in conjunction to get some projects done here in town, so we didn't have to work backwards, so the railroad does work, and then NDOT comes in afterwards and has to dig things up. So we've done a couple projects now where we coordinated that, the bridge on Albion Street. So there are a couple of other projects that we're looking at to try and get things worked out in the same way. We're also trying to figure out how we can utilize the Rail Authority, Cheatham, and also the Nashville Rail Authority. Like, is there a way for us to work things out together, kind of expand rail?
As you're well aware, one of the pressures that folks are facing in Davidson County are housing costs being pushed out and having to have cooperation between our local authorities and other counties so that folks who work here can commute in without too much of a financial burden. So definitely want you to keep that all in mind, so.
100%. It's interesting because Councilmember Evans is on Nashville and I'm on Cheatham. Cheatham does a lot of more carrying freight, but are open to the opportunity of how we could figure out how that could become a passenger situation as well. So working on it for sure.
Perfect. Any other questions from the committee?
Yes.
Yes.
You better be kidding me.
Madam Pro Tem, you are recognized.
No, ma'am.
I see in what you submitted, Joy Styles is a bridge builder.
Man, are we doing this?
I also know that you used to be a
you do
country music artist, and I was wondering if you would like to sing your hit song, Fast.
I'm not looking
I've
over
heard
there.
it
You hear me? I'm not doing it.
times, and I'd like to hear it.
I'd second that.
Why are you like this? I want to know.
That's it.
Anything further from the committee?
One day I might just burst out in song. It's going to be real random.
Oh, I would love to see it.
I do have my goat now, so that's coming
Don't
tonight.
threaten us with a good time.
That's what I'm saying. Okay. Seeing nothing further, we'll go to a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
I guess.
We got 0 in favor, 8 against. But so those in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Any not voting? Yeah.
Right, exactly. All of you are chatting.
We've got 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you, Councilmember Sines.
Thanks so much, Colin.
You're excused.
Okay, I'll leave.
Oh wait, would you like a parking validation?
Yes, does it get me out for the rest of the night? Okay.
7.
Oh,
I think there's 7.
Yeah, 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Okay, thank you all. Next, we have the Emergency Communication District E911 Board appointment of Daniel B. Dwyer for a term expiring on February 14th, 2029. Yes, Mr. Dwyer. Mr. Dwyer, yes. Thank you for being here. Would you like a parking validation? Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
I am.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being appointed to here today?
I do not.
Okay, so tell us a little bit about why you want to serve.
I was very involved in my local government back in Michigan for 20 years. Spent all of my employment service before I retired in government. And I miss it since I moved here, so it's simply a desire to be of use in my community.
Absolutely, and we can all definitely appreciate that. Because yeah, seeing here that you were a former city commissioner back in the day. One of the things that I think is that our 911 dispatchers are facing is a high rate of turnover, and just it's an incredibly stressful job. So I'm curious to know, and seeing that you were a reserve police officer as well, sort of how would you approach trying to solve some of those issues of high turnover and the stress of the job, just making sure that our employees have resources that they need?
when I was running the court system in Ann Arbor, we had high turnover with the clerk's office. So we partnered with the union to try and figure out what was it that was driving people away. And for some people it was money, for others it was hours. We modified the hours of the court and offered people flexible scheduling. Obviously, finances plays a role in it, so we worked at increasing wages. But I would be a little bit naive to have the answer without really knowing what the problem is.
That's fair. Anything from the committee? Yes, Vice Chair.
Mr. Dwyer's a constituent of mine, and we had met and had coffee a few months ago, and I was very impressed and glad that the mayor's office found a place for you to serve.
Thanks, appreciate it.
Anything further from the committee?
I have one thing.
Yes.
I spend a lot of time up there. Do you love being down here instead of up there in the winter?
Yes. Most certainly. I love my hometown. Miss my family, but I love it.
Yeah, it's great. Well, thanks for being here and for offering
Oh, thank you.
your
Thank
service.
you, Chair. Recognizing me even though I'm not on the committee, Michigan fan, I take it.
Yes, ma'am.
Thank you.
Pro Tem.
Thank you, Chair. I have some questions.
Don't ask him if he can sing like George.
Can you? I have some questions. This particular board has had a couple of concerns brought up by staff that are currently working at the 911 call center. So I guess my initial question to you is, are you willing to investigate any claims made by staffers as to potential impropriety that has gone on in leadership?
If that's a part of the purview of that board, then yes.
Okay.
I'll-
You will be overseeing, right? There are several concerns that are coming from staffers. There are concerns about hours, about harassment, intimidation. There is currently an investigation. So if you're appointed to this board, I would just encourage you to keep that top of mind. A lot of these staffers are first responders. They're the first people that our community speaks to, and I know that they're going through a lot, having to take that on all the time, and so we want to make sure that we're taking care of our employees.
And that's good, because I do see on your resume that you, for a stint, were in parole and probation supervision, and part of what you list here is a successful implementation of the zero tolerance in jail diversion and warrantless arrest programs. And so going based off of what Pro Tem just asked you, I guess, if you have any idea of any kind of methodologies that you would want to employ if you had to undertake any kind of investigation like that.
Well, so when I worked for the Department of Corrections, I was a trained sexual harassment investigation person, and I was also a EEOC investigator for the Department of Corrections. So when there is a complaint, I'm assuming it's still the same way, that's a long time ago now, but when there was a complaint in an institution in Michigan, they would assign an investigator from outside of that institution to go in and investigate that complaint. So I did that. It was added on to my role that of normally operating an office or operating an institution. But I do have experience in that. They're very difficult things to do.
Perfect, and I can appreciate that. I think that's good experience to be able to bring. Okay. Anything further from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? Got 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so
All
much.
right, thank you very much.
Okay, next we have the Greenways and Open Spaces Commission appointment of Cedric Duncan for a term expiring on August 31st, 2027. Mr. Duncan, thank you so much for being here. Would you like a parking validation?
Yes.
Thank you. Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being appointed to here today?
I do not.
Okay, perfect. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve on this commission.
So I am a cyclist in Nashville, and I've been cycling for about 5 or 6 years, pretty aggressively. And so I've also lead one of the biking events here and work with Walk Bike Nashville, one of the biggest pedestrian and cycling organizations here in Nashville. And so seeing that and seeing how pedestrians and cyclists interact with either cars or the streets has really kind of opened my eyes to the ways that greenways really connect the city and connect cyclists and connect walkers to just be able to either do it for recreation, do it for transportation to their jobs, do it to just walk around even downtown Nashville. And so I really want to be able to expand the greenways in Nashville and help it make sure that people like me that maybe 6 years ago didn't know about it, and now they can access it. So.
Absolutely. So one of the things that I think we all agree we need more greenways in expanding our multimodal forms of transportation. But one of the things that I've faced with sort of some of the planned greenways is that part of the paths sometimes aren't necessarily conducive to existing infrastructure or existing housing. An example is in District 25, just right along 440, there's a neighborhood with a bunch of houses where technically the back portion of their house is, or back portion of their lot is NDOT and TDOT property, but with the planned greenway, it essentially would have the greenway as close to their houses as we are right now. And so I get my question is for you, given that particular scenario, is are you willing and would you be able to work with communities and neighborhoods to make sure that, one, we are being able to expand our greenways and provide folks access, but that it's done in a responsible manner that's not necessarily really encroaching inappropriately, in my view?
Yeah, absolutely. I feel like if it's not working for the community that it's in, then who's it should be working for? So making sure that sidewalks are the appropriate place behind, making sure that even bike lanes are the appropriate place away from even the sidewalks and the streets, so that civilians and people that are just at their homes don't have to step outside and immediately see either a walker or a biker. So.
Yeah, absolutely. Perfect.
For a street full of delineators.
Yes.
So, to your point, thank you for your answer. Here's your right. Can I ask some questions?
By all means.
Thank you, Chair. Emily Benedict, District 7. I really appreciate the background that you gave. Would you consider bikeways a part of the city's transportation system?
I would consider it for sure. I think that it's a kind of mixed issue. I think that some areas are very bike friendly. I think areas where there's a lot of stop sites, a lot of stop signs that drivers aren't going super fast. Those are good ones going along the greenways. I think for the Cumberland Transit the Cumberland Greenway going from either, I guess, kind of like TSU to Germantown, that's a good route because there's a lot of bikeways in that way. But I think that if you're going from, I would say, anywhere in East Nashville to maybe North Nashville is a pretty rough stretch. Going from there, because you're going to have to go down one of the main roads like Gallatin, and that's pretty rough about it. So finding backways or going to Shelby Bottoms would be a way to go through. But in Nashville, it's not too easy all the time.
And I think that kind of, just to make sure that I'm asking you the question so that I can understand your answer and you can understand my question. Yeah. Do you feel, so for great reference to Gallatin Pike and Shelby Bottoms, that's District 7 area. So for instance, I have constituents who cycle and they use Shelby Bottoms Greenway to connect to other transportation routes for cyclists throughout the city. Do you believe that that's an appropriate use for that greenway and for other greenways that connect like that?
I do feel that's an appropriate way. I think there's some areas that maybe it's disconnected. So that would be going from the Shelby Bottoms Greenway where it would kind of disconnects in towards going to Germantown.
Okay.
That creates some areas where there's not some great bike lanes, and so if I was going that way, I would go over Korean Vets because it has the the kind of like the blockers away from the cars.
That
So,
makes, your answer made a lot more sense to me now. Thank
Yeah.
you for that. And are you supportive of Class 2 e-bikes on the greenways?
I am.
Thank you. Thanks, Chair.
Anything further from the committee or council members? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much. All right, next we also have the Greenways and Open Spaces Commission appointment of Maury Hill for a term expiring on February 11th, 2026. Mr. Hill, thank you for being here. Would you like a parking validation?
Yes, please.
Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
Yes, sir.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being appointed to here today?
I do not.
Okay, so tell us a bit about why you want to serve.
Sure. So, I mean, a very basic overview. Born and raised here. Used the Greenways since I was a kid. Still a very active Greenways user. A big fan of them. Big advocate for the Greenway system. And specifically, reason I wanted to serve is I think we've got a real opportunity right now to really just continue getting it right with the Greenway system. I can hit on a few specific things. A few things that excite me. One is public-private partnership, or you could probably classify that as economic development. But so many of these new developments coming in, how can they have a win-win contribution to the Greenway system? We're seeing a lot of that. Bellmead Plaza, I know, is going to feature the Richland Creek Greenway there, and Peabody Union downtown here just opened, and I believe cut the ribbon on a new Greenway upgrade, and I think there's one in Germantown too. So I think that really needs to be emphasized as we're seeing more development come adjacent to Greenways. Another opportunity that I think is out there as the Greenways continue to get built out, I think is maybe what the council member here was hinting at, is it can be used as transportation a little bit more than recreation. From my gauge right now, Greenways are majority recreation, which is certainly great. But as we connect, the city central system, if that gets built out and more 440 Greenways, I think those are major transportation corridors that could really benefit the city and pedestrians and bikers. And then another opportunity that I think is out there with the Greenways is beautification. I mean, this is open space that the city runs, and I think actually I think that maybe the next guy you're going to talk to is a landscape architect for the Greenways Commission, so he should speak to this more than me. But I think there may be some more public-private partnerships for flowers or pollinator habitats along the Greenways, or maybe that's something that Greenways for Nashville chips in on. But those are just a few things that excite me.
Perfect, awesome, very good answers. A brief follow-up on that is because I definitely think that increasing accessibility to our greenways is a massive quality of life thing, and really good for public health, because more people are able to walk, the healthier they are.
Right.
And so I think one of the important things that we keep in mind as we look at expanding our greenways is making sure that they're expanded equitably throughout every sort of cluster within the city, making sure that every single population center has fair and equal access to being able to have access to those. Thinking about North Nashville, thinking about South Nashville, my district, District 25. So those are the things that you want to touch on just a little bit.
Well, sure, yeah. I mean, I think that's a big part of it. And right now, I mean, if you look at our greenways map, it's pretty spread out. I mean, it covers different parts of the city, but as we continue to connect to these, that's gonna. I think that's such a valuable part of it. So, 440 Greenway. I mean, in theory, can connect parts of North Nashville down to the Gulch, down to West End corridor, and I mean, I think that's huge. Just connecting neighborhoods and making sure everybody's got access to it.
Councilmember Bennett.
Thank you, Chair. And I think I can ask my question a bit better now from having asked it before the prior appointee and with your context. So from the perspective of greenways being used for people, for cyclists, for instance, that are commuting to work, when there's not an alternate route on the map for cyclists to go. So if they're having to go down Gallatin Pike with no bike lane, for instance, and they could take Shelby Bottoms into town, for instance, do you believe that's an acceptable use for that greenway and for greenways like it to be used for transportation like that, rather than being put in harm's way on our larger streets that don't have bike lanes?
I do, and I think if we run into a situation down the line where there's so much transportation traffic on greenways with bikers, then that's a good problem to have, and we can address it when we get to it. But absolutely, I think greenways are huge for transportation.
Thank you. And are you supporting Class 2 e-bikes on the greenways?
I am.
Thank you. Thank you, Chair.
Anything further from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next, we have the Greenways and Open Spaces Commission appointment of James Moore for a term expiring on February 10th, 2027. Mr. Moore, thank you so much for being here. Would you like a parking validation?
Yes, please, appreciate it.
Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
I am.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being appointed to here today?
Yes, I've served on the, get it right, Downtown Code Design Review Committee since 2020.
Is that a Metro board?
Is that okay? I don't know, it's a
No,
committee.
no, just a Metro board.
Oh, okay,
Yeah.
Metro board.
Yeah.
But then no.
Okay,
Sorry.
perfect. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve.
Sure. I'm born and raised, grew up in Hillsborough West End using our metro parks and our greenways. I've been fortunate to be able to use those as a pedestrian and as a cyclist. I now have 2 boys of my own, and so sometimes they ride their bikes. Sometimes we all ride together on the back of my Class 2 e-bike safely, and I really just cannot imagine a Nashville without them, and I'm really excited to envision and work towards Nashville with more greenways. As a landscape architect, I hope to bring my urban planning and design experience to partner with Cindy and Parks, as we work on these projects together. Before coming to Vanderbilt, I worked at Hawkins Partners on the Plan to Play plan in 2017, so I was part of the team that did that, and that gave me, we can all kind of grow up in our bubble. That gave me a chance to go all across the county, to go to community meetings and to hear from residents from all over different parts of the county what open space and parks, and of course what more access to those would mean to them. So I think, I'm of course benefiting from the question that you all provided the previous two. But I think those are really exciting, challenges to work on. This is hard work. It is every inch and 3 agencies, plus having to collaborate together. But when you get it, I think the exciting thing is you can, especially with the Greenway, you can unlock access to just a huge amount of area with sometimes just a half a mile. So things like that, I'm really excited to work towards. I'll stop there.
Absolutely. So I'm curious, just as a landscape architect, sort of if you have any kind of philosophy or thoughts about using like native wildflowers and native prairie grasses as opposed to turf grasses in our parks and on our greenways, just because I think turf grasses are an ecological and environmental nightmare, but that's just my own opinion, but just wanted to get your take on that.
No, it's a great question, and it's a topic, just speaking personally at Vanderbilt, we talk about a lot, right, and I'm the landscape architect there. We have an amazing grounds crew, but their time is, and their ability is not unlimited, right, and so we have to be smart about where we invest our maintenance team's time, along with our new plantings, right? So my first job there, I planted all these beautiful native perennials, and my groundskeeper said, "We can't keep up with all this. What are you doing to us?" And I think every landscape architect has a story about a native wildflower meadow that gets mowed down the first season because there wasn't communication, there wasn't that follow through with the maintenance team. So I think native plants are so important, to support the ecosystem that we have, and also to reinforce a sense of place, to make it look like Middle Tennessee. I do think there are instances where a mown, what I like to call a mixed Tennessee lawn, which is, it's just the things that grow up there, can be the low maintenance solution. With wildflower meadows, we have what we call a messy meadow in one of our alleys at Vanderbilt, where we just cast wildflower seeds, and it is messy. So we have to have signs up, and we keep a mow strip, right, to make it look maintained. And I think that might be something, and I know I'm not breaking new ground here. I'm looking back at Cindy. But, you know, that's something that I think your constituents are interested in too, and I'm sure you maybe have heard the person who's celebrating No Mow Month. Their neighbor doesn't appreciate that, you know, there's no mowing happen. So I think one thing that, you know, we have cultural change going on is understanding that a native meadow is not a vacant lot. And so I think there would have to be, you know, I think I'm excited to work towards plans if we do implement things like that. That would be lower maintenance, better ecologically. How do we communicate what's going on so that people think that we didn't just miss a mowing cycle, right? So again, sorry, long answer. But I think there's a great opportunities because these are low maintenance areas generally, and we've got a great grounds team. They have to cover a whole county. So finding those opportunities or collaborating with local neighbors who want to bring that care to a higher intensity planting.
I can appreciate that. Thank you, Vice Chair.
I just want to say I've known James for quite a while. He was a constituent of mine and sadly moved out. But I know he's in a great neighborhood now. And have worked with him on, you know, talked about neighborhood stuff, but also in consulting Vanderbilt about certain things, and had great conversations with him about that. I think he's got I think this commission is a great fit for him, and I'm excited to vote yes on you.
Appreciate that.
Councilmember.
Thank you, Chair. So you've kind of answered a couple of my questions, but I want to be, you know, really pointed with them. Do you believe, and I've also, again, gotten better at them, you being the third person I'm asking, but do you believe that our greenways should be used as an alternate bikeway, cyclist route in areas, for instance, as I gave examples of earlier, where it's dangerous to go down Gallatin or even a side road? It's easier to go and safer to go down the greenway to then connect through the streets and then potentially even connect to another greenway. Do you think that that's an acceptable use?
I do. I mean, I commute to work partly on the 440 Greenway or bring my kids to school on it as well, and we pick it because it's safe.
Okay. And then my next question, I know you mentioned Class 2. I'm going to take it one step further with you. Do you support and this is, it's a yes or a no, and that's okay if we don't think that, whatever you want to answer here. Don't just say yes because I'm asking the question. Do you
She
think
doesn't
that
have
we
a vote,
should
so it's okay.
do you think that we should have B-cycle Class 2 e-bikes set up at our parks in order for users to ride the greenway?
You know,
You can think about that one. You don't have to answer. It's just something I'm curious about.
I mean, I think anything that gets people on bikes is good, and anything that gets people enjoying our greenways in a safe way is good. So if, you know, all the procurement and contract stuff is figured out, to me that seems like a net benefit to help people, not just tourists, but residents who were walking and grabbed a bike. I mean, I had a B-cycle membership when I worked downtown for years, and it was a big value add to our enjoyment. So that seems like it would translate to the greenways as long as there are safety and, you know, considerations of others.
Thank you for that. Thank you for that detailed and thoughtful response. Finally, I would just like to say in regards to No Mow Month, we were on vacation for a week until April 26th, and my neighbors were appalled, but I wasn't there to hear it, so thank you.
Anything further from the committee? Seeing nothing, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
All right, next we have the Human Relations Commission, consideration of a nominee to fill one vacancy on the commission with a term expiring on April 18th, 2028. And an election to fill the vacancy will be held at the May 20th, 2025 council meeting. This is the nomination of Jermaine Cole by Chair Gamble. All right, Jermaine, would you like a parking violation?
Absolutely.
Okay.
Thank you.
Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
I am.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being appointed to here today?
I do not.
Okay. Finish this lyric. First thing first, rest in peace.
I don't know. I know it's probably my own song too, right? Probably
It
goes on his
is.
song, right?
Say it again, I'm sorry.
First thing first, rest in peace.
Oh, Dr. Phil or Uncle Phil.
Okay,
Phil.
okay. We're good. All right. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve.
So I'm 19 years old. For those who don't know, my name is Jermaine Cole Jr. I'm 19 years old. I'm primarily born and raised in Southeast Nashville, all up on Antioch Pike, right up there by Harding Place. I primarily organize at the state capitol, doing a lot of organizing around horrible pieces of legislation at the state legislature and bringing power strictly back to the people consistently. We've seen consistently throughout Southeast Nashville that we are always underrepresented. We just actually had ICE raids in our communities, and so it's about making sure the power is strictly back with the people, and that's what we gotta do. We gotta make sure that everything is being equitable from the state legislature all the way down to our local government. And I'm very excited to serve and make sure that we are being equitable here.
Perfect. Chair Gamble, do you want to speak to your nominee?
Yes, thank you, Chair. I just want to say Jermaine is a very bright and exceptional young man. He is a fierce community advocate, and what impresses me most about him is he's a bridge builder between the young and the old school. We actually do that there.
Yes, yes, you did.
And so I think he would be great on the Human Relations Commission to build that bridge as we move forward together and making sure we have equity in all of our diversity in the city. So
I appreciate you.
definitely want to encourage you to vote yes.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
I want to ask you and have you expand a little more about like what you view your role on the Human Relations Commission. Like, how do you envision yourself occupying this seat?
Right, so when we're talking about anything that has to do with equity, right? Like, you know, John Lewis is one of my big mentors. I'm only 19, but I know who John Lewis is. John Lewis, you know, protested all throughout the city, had sit-ins, you know, there was boycotts happening in the city, primarily the state legislature, but also some when it came to the local level as well. People don't know that. And that's about upholding civil rights, right? If we're gonna make sure that people, whether you're black, brown, gay, straight, up, down, left, right, we're gonna make sure that you have a place in the city, then we should mean that. And that means when it comes to our wages, when it comes to making sure people feel equitable and safe on working jobs, on sites, on whatever that means, if that means from the mayor's office to the, you know, the registered deeds office to the whatever, you know, making sure that those employees, those people, those staff, the people who come in and out of our city too at the same time. Like if this is a great city, it's a city that we should uphold and it's a city that we should cherish because we are a safeguard to the craziness that goes on up there. And so we're going to be a safeguard to the things that go up there. We have to make sure that we are staying true to that value and making sure those people have that voice and that impact and that sense of courage to stay in our city and to work in our city and to give to our city because everyone contributes. And so we have to make sure we keep everyone here to contribute. And so that's what we have to do is make sure it's equitable so they stay.
Anything from the committee?
I have a question.
Yes.
Are you sure you're just 19?
I'm 19. I'm 19, I promise. 19, yeah. I appreciate that, thank you so much.
Yes, thank you, Chair. Finish these lyrics. No, I'm not gonna do it. Yes, I will. Sim Sima.
Y'all are cooking me right now. Hold on. Okay, look, sorry, I wasn't listening to that on the way here. I was listening to some Tam Paula on the way here. I wasn't listening to J. Cole. I know it's my name, but I'm sorry. I'm messing up. I'm sorry, y'all. I'm sorry.
So I wanted to speak on Jermaine and the importance of having him on this commission. Having a 19-year-old who is very active in not only state politics but local politics is very important. Having a diverse voice in age is something that we need to see throughout our boards and commissions. So I'm glad that we have council member Gamble who nominated him, and I would encourage us to have that thought process as we go into nominations for other boards and commissions. You know, at some point we're all going to be gone, and we need to make sure that we build up the next leadership that's going to be leading this city and this state. And Jermaine has been boots on the ground throughout this weekend and these past couple of days with the remix. You know, when it comes to ice sightings, especially in my district, he was actually assigned to it today. So I do want to uplift his work throughout, and so I am happy to be able to vote for you today.
I appreciate that so much. Thank you so much. Thank you.
Anything further from the committee? Chair Gamble, thank you for this nomination. We will now move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? We've got 7 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you all so much. I appreciate you.
Great job.
Okay, next we have the Metropolitan Transit Authority appointment of Jeff Haynes for a term expiring on June 1st, 2029.
I'll be tomorrow.
Right, Mr. Haynes, would you like a parking validation? Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
I am.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being appointed to here today?
Currently do not.
Okay, perfect. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve.
I had the good fortune to serve on the Planning Commission for 12 years, Parks for 5 years, and perversely, I miss public service.
That's
Perversely, that's very good.
that's
You're really out to it.
That is a good way of putting it. So yeah, tell us a little bit more about like how your past experience will inform your service on this authority.
Well, I think certainly through the Planning Commission and Nashville Next, understanding the importance of MTA, certainly now with Choose How You Move, there will be lots of real estate discussions and questions, and with my real estate background, I think I can certainly add that.
I would agree with that. Anything from the committee? Seeing none, we'll move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? Got 8 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the Nashville and Eastern Rail Authority consideration of a nominee to fill one vacancy on the authority with a term expiring on June 1st, 2027. An election to be filled. An election to fill the vacancy will be held at the May 20th, 2025 council meeting. This is the nomination of Chair Aaron Evans by Vice Chair Huffman. Would you please raise your right hand and be sworn? Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
I am.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being appointed to today? No. Okay. So tell us a little bit about your nomination and serving in this capacity.
Yeah, so I was nominated previously by Kevin Roten, and so this is the conclusion of my first term, and now this is a reappointment situation. And I never really thought I would get into railroads the way that I have. It has been incredibly educational. Because the issues that Councilmember Stiles was describing, or discussions around kind of their, freight and everything, there's certainly it's a very freight heavy railway on the eastern side of Davidson County, but of course we also have the WeGo Star, so there's that huge commuter rail component, which is also super interesting because in those quarterly meetings that we have, there's reporting out from WeGo in addition to the other kind of county officials that go all the way to Watertown as they speak to kind of all the railroad dynamics that they have in their communities. And in particular, like for, I think, our area, like we are much more advanced kind of with this railroad related to things like transit-oriented development because Lebanon and Mount Juliet have transit-oriented development kind of centers around their stations, and so Donaldson is in the process of moving that direction, and so there's been a lot of conversation about land acquisition around Donaldson Station and some of the activities that will go to kind of support some of that redevelopment, so it's going to be really interesting to see kind of that transpire over time. And then on top of that, kind of like reverse commuting, there's interest from like Bristol to do some reverse special event trains to take downtown Nashville visitors out to the Motor Speedway in Lebanon for races. There's a lot of support for special event trains. You'll often see like the mayor of Wilson County and Mount Juliet sponsor trains, and it's really affordable to sponsor a train.
Interesting.
Yes, I could spend, like I said, I could spend all day talking about this, but I think the most interesting thing kind of related to my initial service has really been around kind of the kind of juxtaposition or kind of complementary status of like being on public health and safety, having been on homelessness planning council because of Old Tent City and some of the challenges that the railroad faces because having a large active encampment so close to a rail line. And I feel like I've been a bridge builder, but really to help connect kind of R.J. Corman Railroad, with the mayor's office, with Director Calvin, with other stakeholders kind of around Old Tent City. And so I think that's been one of the most meaningful things, I think.
So this is really just based off of my curiosity, because my understanding of our rail system is that CSX owns and operates most of the rail lines, and that for commuter rail, it's sort of licensed, which has been one of the impediments to getting an Amtrak line in this area. Could you talk a little bit more about that?
Yeah, and so when Councilmember Stiles referenced R.J. Corman for hers, my understanding is CSX is really kind of the one of the key railroad operators kind of on that side, and I could be wrong, but yeah, it's definitely challenging, and kind of the cross, kind of like functional silos in metro government. I would say there's definitely functional silos in railroad operations and operators. And when we had, those of us that went to National League of Cities, I went to a very specific railroad conversation. And one of the things I learned at the federal level is there's an agency that actually kind of does all the studying about railroads and in particular block crossings. And they report out on here's all the issues that communities are seeing, but Congress has not kind of enabled Congress, or they have not been enabled to kind of take action, I guess. So they'll publish information and there's nobody there to kind of galvanize like everybody to work together, which I think is one of the reasons why we see some of these challenges across railroads. Because the biggest driver for them is they want to make sure freight gets to the destination on time, and all these ancillary uses, if they don't fit from a timing or if they're going to interfere with costs or anything like that, they're really not on board. And so I think you see that kind of related to like Amtrak conversations also, and kind of how that plays across all these different track operators.
Thank you.
Yeah. Did I learn anything over the last couple of years about railroad?
Yeah, just a little bit. Yeah. Anything further from the committee?
No questions? I'm not singing anything.
Yeah.
Thank you for no lyric questions.
We'll go ahead and move to a vote. Those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 7 in favor, 0 against, 1 not voting.
Thank you.
Okay, next we have the Procurement Standards Board. I actually might need to run out for this one. But we've got the Procurement Standards Board consideration of nominees to fill one vacancy on the board with a term expiring on October 19th, 2027, with an election to be held on May 20th, 2025. First, we have the nomination of Sarah Martin, nominated by Councilmember Cap. Martin, thank you for being here. Would you like a parking violation?
That would be fantastic. Thank you.
Are you currently a Davidson County resident?
I am.
And do you serve on any other boards or commissions other than what you're being nominated to here today?
I do not.
Okay. So tell us a little bit about why you want to serve on the Procurement Standards Board.
Sure. Thank you for this opportunity. It's great to be here with you all and have the chance to share a little bit about my passion and interest in procurement. I feel like those are words that don't often go together. But procurement is surprisingly near and dear to my heart. I'm a native Nashvilleian. Was born and raised here and moved away for college. Traveled around a bit over the last 20 years and just moved back this summer. But I have seen the incredible growth in this city and am committed to helping in ways big and small, supporting Nashville in managing that growth and helping ensure that it is accessible for all of its residents and not just for folks who are moving here for the first time or certainly not just for tourists. And I think the role of our city government is all the more essential in this context of growth. We're in a more complex time. There is more money and resources coming into the city, but also significant trade-offs that have to be evaluated and opportunities that need to be navigated to ensure that they benefit everyone and not just a subset of the folks who are here. When I look at the levers within city government, I think procurement is an absolutely essential one for helping the city accomplish its goals and realizing its vision for its residents. And I think procurement is often a bit kind of underappreciated. It can be incredibly detail-oriented and lots of rules and regulations and process, and it can be confusing. But I think there's a lot of both potential and challenges within those details. And for the last 10 years, I worked for the city of DC in their education agency and in a variety of different roles, but had the opportunity to both oversee a number of procurement processes directly and gained exposure to many more beyond that. And so through that experience, I think I have seen the kind of good, the bad, and the ugly of procurement, and I would love to bring that experience to the city that I care deeply about to help Nashville and the city of Nashville continue developing strong and efficient procurement processes to deliver on its promises for residents.
Yes, thank you for your willingness to serve. So I do have two questions, and then I'll have to go to announcements. So if someone could ask these questions to our nominees, that would be great, so I could go back and watch. So we just created the Contract and Compliance Board that will be working hand in hand with making recommendations to the Procurement Board, the Contract and Compliance Board. We are in the process of interviewing executive directors. Then we will have inspectors who will be on the ground inspecting our metro construction sites. Now, I bring that up because we will be awarding a lot of contracts pretty soon. And the job of the Contract and Compliance Board is we'll figure out the process, right, as we go through it. I serve on this board of how to make corrections if there are specific OSHA violations on property, if there's wage theft, etc. But in the case that the contractors, subcontractors don't take those recommendations and correct their practices, we potentially would be making recommendations to the procurement board as well, going forward when it comes to awarding contracts. That being said, are you open to feedback from the Contract and Compliance Board? And then my second question is, the procurement board has not, they haven't barred specific companies in the past. They've been hesitant to do that. Would you be willing to do that depending on findings in the future?
Sure. Thank you for that question. I think, first of all, would absolutely be open to feedback from all parties. I think the more feedback from folks who are on the ground, who are engaged in this work, the more effective decision-making processes you'll have from this commission, from this board. And to your second question, I would want to be very clear on the precise role of the board in informing or making recommendations in the kind of situation that you're describing. But certainly I think a focus on outcomes and the desired results in every procurement is critical to keep at the forefront. And oftentimes it can be lost in the name of kind of compliance and checking the boxes and making sure that everything is ticked off. And if there are situations where a contractor is either in violation of key requirements or is not achieving the desired outcomes in a way that is an egregious situation and they are not upholding the requirements in the contract, then I think it would make sense for the city to have a process in place, and whether that's through this board or if the board is helping establish such a process to ensure that those contractors, at minimum, it is clear that in future bids that they have that history, so that can inform future decisions by the city about who to choose for future contracts.
Thank you. And I'm going to hand it over to the vice chair. Before I do that, Councilmember Cap, do you want to speak to your nominee?
Yes, I think her statements and qualifications speak for themselves, but I always look to someone with extensive qualifications and a lot of great background advantages. How do they choose to spend that? If they want to choose it to spend it serving our city, I think that speaks a lot, and I'm really proud to have nominated Sarah, and I hope that you will support her.
Thank you. Vice Chair.
Any other members have questions or comments? Let's vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Any not voting? 6 favor, 0 against. Congratulations. All right, next for seat on the Procurement Standards Board, we have Bob Braswell, nominated by Councilmember Webb. Welcome, Mr. Braswell. Would you like a parking validation?
Thank you.
Why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you could bring to the Procurement Standards Board?
Thank you. Some of you may recognize me. I was here for the East Bank Development Board, and I have a heart to serve. And I live in Nashville, and part of living in Nashville is giving back. And you're from Bellevue, the Bellevue area, and I grew up in Bellevue when Bellevue had a high school. And it was a great place to live, and we used to run where the TVA lines were and when there was nothing there. And so I've seen a lot of growth in Nashville, and I have a passion just to serve. And I have an extensive history in building, huge buildings, or not only in the United States but also around the world. I own 3 businesses. I have taught OSHA compliance in the United States, and then for manufacturers who are overseas, I've also taught them on OSHA compliance. So going back to the question she had is how would I work everything into it? Well, OSHA's huge, and safety is vital. And if you have the propensity to cut corners and do things that are going to put people in jeopardy, then that's not what the city needs. The city needs people that are dedicated to seeing the city grow in a very effective way. And so I'm hammering on serving because I'd like to take my experiences that are multicultural, multinational, and decades of working and serving. I've served on multiple boards internationally. Why? Because I believe in serving my industries, and I also believe in serving my city. So that's why I'm here again, because I want to serve.
Council members have questions?
I guess I have a question, and I didn't think about it for our other applicant. We went through, in our budget committee, we had like a working group around procurement. And so one of the things that and there's going to be some changes as a result of, that working group and conversations and stuff, but like the Metro, I think our biggest challenge is some things are just really slow. And there's a variety of reasons why. Sometimes it's supply chain issues, or, there's just so many different reasons why. But I guess from your experience with all the things that you've done in your career, how did you navigate, like and I'll just use police as an example. Like if police has a tool that they really, really need, and it's going to take a year for us to get it, or whatever the circumstances are. Have you had experiences where you needed something really badly for your business, and it was just out of your reach for whatever reason that you were trying to acquire, and how did you kind of navigate kind of those circumstances?
That's a great question. I emailed everybody before this, and one of the things I mentioned was lean. And lean isn't just for manufacturing. I did some consulting for Vanderbilt on how to improve their processes, because exactly what you said, they needed certain things for their hospital and ran into issues where when it came time to procure what they needed, it was like dragging a dead animal along. And so many people involved. So one of the things we did was bring all the components together in all the departments and start figuring out from a lean perspective, why are we going down the path that we're going down instead of going down between A and B, not zigzagging the whole way down. And what we found out, there were expertises in all these different areas that weren't getting a voice. They would meet in their little conferences or their little groups. They'd come up with an idea, and that would be passed along instead of getting everybody together. Once we got everybody together, things moved very rapidly. And it turned out to be things that were 2 to 3 years out became 3 to 4 months out. Why? Because we delegated certain responsibilities to different people. And the result was people took ownership of it, and everybody came together to watch it fulfilled.
Yeah, I'm sorry I didn't get recognized. I have more comments.
Sorry, that's fine.
Councilmember Webb nominated you, right?
Yes, ma'am.
And so, she was also on the working group, and she's probably told you some of the experiences and stories that
Yes,
maybe
ma'am.
we've heard. And anyway, that's just like top of mind still, because some of the things, even though the working group's working, we're still dealing with some of the same challenges. And so,
It's extremely frustrating.
yeah, if you end up appointed, that would be like an area, I think, where the standards board may have some influence, so anyway, just putting that out there.
Any other questions or comments? Let's take a vote. All in favor of Bob Roswell for Procurement Standards Board?
Aye.
Against? And not voting. 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you, sir.
Great, thank you all.
And next we've got Mr. Robert Ligon.
Roger Ligon.
Huh?
Roger.
I'm sorry. Roger Ligon?
Yes, that's me.
Ligon, I'm sorry. I thought I was gonna mess up on the last name and wasn't paying attention to the first. I apologize, sir.
A bunch of ways to pronounce
Do you need a parking validation?
Yes, sir.
There you go.
Thank you very much.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and why you'd like to serve on the Procurement Standards Board.
Roger Ligon Jr., born and raised here in Nashville. Was previously on the board, and one of the main reasons I would like to be back on the board is I feel like I got more work to do. Want to work to be a better board member the next time, to be hyper involved, more involved than I was the first time. Just being transparent. I want to be more of a servant of the city.
When you think about that, being more involved, are there specific goals or areas where you'd like to, you have intentions of getting more involved?
When I was involved the first time, I really wasn't as informed about the board, being on the board. The first time I was, getting an education, I guess you could say. Now that I'm a little bit more educated, I think I could be a better board member. One of my mentors is Don Harden. He was on the board before. He's given me some advice in terms of things that I need to look for and speak up about and say. So I think, like I said, in an effort to serve, I think I'd be a much better board member. This is the second time than I was the first time.
And that you could help newbies that come along get acclimated to the.
I love that. Yeah. As I'm getting older, I'm 50 now. So as I'm getting older, I recognize the responsibility to assist and help others, that come behind me. The more education, the more knowledge we have, it becomes incumbent on us to pass it back. So
I appreciate
that's
that.
important.
Yep, it is. Members, any further questions or?
50's not old, that's what I'm saying. It's out there.
Well,
Other than that, I have no
it's
question.
feeling old.
So we have pro tem's questions.
I'm sorry?
Pro tem's questions that she wanted to summarize. So I'm going to pull them. So as you heard before, her two questions.
Yeah, I
you
think
wanna
I remember.
Well, I got them written down.
Okay. One of them was if there were members of the contracting community that needed censuring, maybe barred from doing construction as a board member, is that something I'd be willing to do? We've had that happen when I was on the board before. They asked us to vote towards contractors that they felt weren't compliant, and we voted on those before. So I've done it before, I'll do it again. So that shouldn't be a problem.
And you would be open also to feedback
Oh, of course, yeah.
from that board?
Like the
new board.
Like the original, well, not the original, but the first lady that was in the seat said, taking advice from people that are actually in the field observing is vital because they see things that board members don't see. I'm in construction, and I know construction is just one part of procurement, but it's a pretty big part of it. So I've been in it for 30 years now, so I got a pretty firm understanding of, the responsibilities of the procurement board and what they need to see and what they need to know as it relates to construction.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Any not voting, or any against, or not voting? sir. 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, the next Tourism and Convention Commission, appointment of Sherry Franklin for a term expiring June 30th, 2028. Hey, Ms. Franklin, would you like a marching delegation? Welcome. Can you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you would bring to the Tourism and Convention Commission?
I have been in the Nashville area since 1986, and since that time, my first job was in hospitality and tourism at the old Nashville Convention Center, which is now the Fifth and Broad complex. So I have, over those years, seen Nashville just completely evolve. Was a salesperson for the convention center, now with the Renaissance Hotel, and started out as a seller there. I've been in my current position since 2011. And so in moving into a director role gave me more insight in regards to selling the whole Nashville. My first as a seller was simply focused on bringing conventions to the city. In this role that I'm currently in, it's not only bringing conventions to the city, but it's also that special corporate customer that also comes to the city. That's the KPMGs, the Deloittes. How do we get those visitors to the city? And then the tourist, bringing that leisure customer to the city. So being engaged with the CVC and serving on this board previously, see all of the things that they do to promote Nashville as a city. As we go out and travel, one of the things that's said to us all the time is, we love your city, we want to get in, why can't we bring our meeting to your city? There sometimes, just simply because Nashville is such a popular destination. And that is by and large how our CVC has promoted our city out in not only domestically, but from an international perspective. You sit and you look now at how downtown has developed from 1986 when I first moved here. Downtown's developed, and now we continue to move out to the East Bank, and the CVC is very much largely in part to all of this growth and development. We know that with that East Bank development, that is going to bring even more people to the city. So what they do is very integral to what we hope to accomplish here. I have a passion for Nashville, love the city, and would love to continue to serve on this board.
Just been on the hotel board for 100 years, and seeing your involvement in the Hotel Association, academies, everything. Truly appreciate it, and advisory board and stuff like that. John, your old general manager, and your whole hotel, including you, have done great things. So appreciate all your being part of our community.
Any others? Thank you. All in favor of? Did I miss somebody?
No,
gotta vote.
Yeah, we still have 5.
All in favor of Sherry Franklin for the Tourism and Convention Commission?
Aye.
Any against? Any not voting? 5 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting. Thank you. Next, for the Tourism and Convention Commission, the appointment of Thomas Petrillo for a term expiring June 30th, 2028. Mr. Petrillo, would you like to share a little bit about yourself? And wait, I forgot to offer you parking validation. Share.
My last? I think so, right?
Yeah, you're.
Look, this is good off.
There's somebody else on here, but I don't see anybody. Oh,
All right,
yeah, there's one more.
Yeah.
Tell us a little bit about yourself and what you would bring to the Tourism and Convention Commission.
So fairly new to the market, 4 years in Tennessee, got 30 plus years of experience in
hotel business, a lot on the F&B side, you know, all the way through my career with Hilton, international experience, development experience, you know, but Nashville's where I'm gonna call home. And candidly, I lived in Brentwood when I first moved here. My kids go to Lipscomb, and I think part of the reason moving to this county is really to become more part of the community from that perspective. My current role, I oversee Gaylord Opryland and the attractions, you know, which employs close to 3,000 people, of which a third are contracted over and above it. And not only largest hotel in, you know, Nashville, Tennessee, but also Marriott's largest property in the world. And I think what I feel I have unique ability where, you know, coming out of COVID, it rings true. My main job and my role is to provide opportunities for my team, market the destination, and create opportunities not only from, you know, growing the business, from meetings and conventions, leisure guests, but really, really also giving back to the community from that perspective.
Thank you. Yes.
Just an acknowledgement, his involvement in McGavick High School and everything else. I mean, they've been partners for 17 years, some ridiculous thing, and a strong part of the community. So I have to acknowledge all your involvement, your leadership there. Appreciate it.
Thanks, sir.
Anyone else? Let's vote. All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Any not voting? Thank you, sir.
All right, thank you.
Thanks. Good luck
Much
to you.
appreciated. Thanks, sir.
Next we have for the Work Release Board, the reappointment of Ron Parham for a term expiring March 16th, 2029. Mr. Parham?
Yes.
Because you didn't know you were signing up for that long of a term?
Yeah, I didn't know it was, yeah, that's almost 30. I mean,
I'm not too far
away. Would you tell us a little bit about yourself and what you and your this is a reappointment, your work on the Work Release Board, and why you'd like to serve another term on it?
Yes, sir. I'm Ron Parham, born and raised here in Nashville, Tennessee, educated and so forth. Live in the Hermitage, Tennessee area. I pastor church, pastor for 31 years. Professor, it's too much. It's a lot of stuff I do, but I want to be reappointed because as I served on the board for the last 4 years, I consider myself more of a gatekeeper, if you would, to protect the city, as well as releasing those who need to be released, and those who don't, protect the city in that way. So I thoroughly enjoyed sitting on the board for the last 4 years, and really would appreciate being reappointed for another 4 years. Well, what'd you say, 2029? Yeah, I didn't, that hit me a little bit, yeah. I think
March 16th, 2029.
Yeah, reappoint me for another 4 years, yes, sir.
Any questions?
No.
I guess I have a question.
Yes, ma'am.
I think I was looking at your address, I'm like, I know that address, but you're not in Council District 12 now, you're in 11 with redistricting.
That's exactly right.
But
Right there.
I'm glad that you're willing to be involved in this really important work, because we were just having a conversation in the Public Health and Safety Committee before coming in here, hearing from Thistle Farms, and had a little discussion about like purpose, and like, you know, how do you help people who are or are connecting people to help them kind of figure out like what their purpose is after they are coming out.
Oh, you asking me that?
Yeah.
Yeah, but well, I look at it this way. This is gonna sound corny, but I don't believe there are no bad people. They've just been taught wrong, educated wrong, and prayerfully, what I do on the board is helping them find that purpose.
Yeah.
Because no one in this room is exempted from that. You know, and I was going to quote a scripture. But anyway, none of us are exempted from that. So I just hope that in some way I'm helping them find that purpose in doing that. If it's keeping them in there another few more months or a year, you know, or releasing them back into the community.
I'm just curious, what indicator do you see when they come out that you feel provides that support that it's the right time for them?
Well, you look at sometimes when you look at the facts, I don't know. I mean, I guess that's a good question from an indicator, because you just trust the decision that you made.
Yeah.
You know, I mean, if he's beating on his wife 5 times, chances are, if he's still with him, he's going to do it again. Chances are. So getting him rehabilitated and trust that he or she is following that path that's set before him. Trust it. You can't. I guess there really is no.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right.
Just trust.
I didn't. So you just have a sense of trusting that person when they come.
It hadn't failed me yet. It hadn't.
Obviously, you got a good eye. So
so let's see. I performed about 100 marriages since I've been pastor, and only 2 of them got a divorce out of the 100. And I told them on the front end not to get married. So they did it anyway, and so.
That's good. Thank you very much. Appreciate the comment.
Anyone else? All in favor?
Aye.
Any against? Any not voting? I've got 6 in favor, 0 against, 0 not voting.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks so much.
Thank you.
And last, for the Work Release Board, the reappointment of Father Edward Steiner for a term for a term expiring January 1st, 2029. And do we know anything? Is that a motion?
For one meeting?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Good guy.
Any opposed?
Thank you.
All right, and last is a rule change, Rule 9.3 amendment, amendment to Rules of Procedure, 9.3.
Just for this.
Should I read it?
No.
So I think this is automatically deferred based on our new rules that are, today's the first meeting.
Correct.
So I've been sitting here with you guys just to tell you, to make sure you know that it is automatically deferred. So it doesn't need to be taken up by committee.
That's why
Is that right?
That's why I came back in the room.
All right.
Good census. We'll defer.
Thank you.
The lake
Thank you.
file, did we handle that?
Yeah, I think so.
Number 10.
I thought so.
Yeah, we did it early on.
Yeah, we already did it.
All right, and it says chair report updates, but I'm not the chair and wasn't given an update. So,
He can email
motion
us.
to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
We'll get there.
Oh, I need to turn this off, don't I? Stop meeting.